2019. It is now 5:33 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams? Here. Councilmember Bamanto?
Here.
Councilmember Heenan?
Here.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Here.
Councilmember at-large Washington.
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Certification of the prior meetings.
This is to certify that an official copy of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, April 16, 2019 was presented to the mayor on April 22nd, 2019 pursuant to Section 3.03 of the Dunkirk City Charter. All items presented to the mayor are now in full force and effect. In witness whereof I have hereto set my hand and the seal of the city of Dunkirk, New York, the 7th day of May, 2019.
I need a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first.
Second.
Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Washington.
Aye. Reading of the privilege of the floor regulations.
The privilege of the floor shall be extended to any person appearing for themselves, in which case that individual shall be limited to 3 minutes, and to any person representing a group who shall be limited to 5 minutes. When recognized, please stand and state your name and address. The city clerk shall have the duty of maintaining such time limits, and the councilman at large may determine in his discretion whether individuals are speaking for themselves or representing groups. Councilman at large of Washington shall maintain good order and may require any speaker to cease speaking if remarks are made in bad taste or are slanderous or non-germane to any action taken or contemplated by council. The time limit specified shall be strictly adhered to, except that a speaker may be allowed to complete a statement or thought started before such time has expired.
Okay, privilege of the floor regulations has now been read. I don't foresee it being an issue this evening, but I'll say it again anyway. If anybody comes to the podium and microphone and asks questions, chances are your questions will not be answered at that point in time. There is a proper time later in the meeting for those individuals to answer the questions. However, if by chance that individual does answer those questions during that point in time, that is on them. With that being said, privilege of the floor is now open. If anybody wishes to speak, please step forward to the podium, state your name and address.
Hi, my name's Jeanette Delgado. I live at 321 Robin Street in Dunkirk. I'm just touching base on the tunnel on Robin Street to see where we are with that for purchasing of the paint. I believe Mr. Heenan had suggested he was going to do so, and just wondering where we are. And they may not be able to answer that, so that's all I need.
Mr. Heenan can answer during his time on the floor,
Okay, thank you.
or Randy as well during Mr. Heenan's time. Anybody else wishing to take advantage of privilege of the floor, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address. Last opportunity. Anybody wishing to take advantage of privilege of the floor, please step forward to the podium and state your name and address. Privilege of the floor is now closed. Communications from the mayor, including disapproval messages.
Mr. Chairman, I just have 3 quick announcements. The first one is relative to the boat launch. The city's boat launch is open. Just wanted to publicly mention that. We received a couple calls from people inquiring whether or not it was open. And I did ask the contractor working on the pier to pick it up and clean it up a little bit in that area so it looks more presentable for our boaters that use the boat launch. So again, I just want to reiterate that the boat launch is open and has been open. The marina operator is doing a little work out there, but it is open. And secondly, just want to wish all the mothers in the city a happy Mother's Day and remind them that the Dunkirk Great Lakes Offshore Grand Prix Powerboat race is going to be televised on CBS Sports on Mother's Day from 8 a.m. to 7 a.m. And what's interesting about this is there's going to be 3 professional commercials from local businesses here in the city that were sponsors of our event here. It really showcases a lot of the city of Dunkirk. And again, this is on CBS Sports. So that's from 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock on Sunday. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have one, sir.
Okay. Clerk?
Number one, appointment of Loretta Terrain and Stephen Cooley to the Board of Assessment Review, and appointment of Edward Ned C. Devine to the Greater Dunkirk Area Harbor Commission.
This communication from the mayor will be received and filed. Communications from the public and petitions. Clerk?
Number one, request from the Special Olympics New York and the Law Enforcement Torch Run to use city streets on Wednesday, May 29, 2019, between 9 a.m. and 9:30 a.m.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to refer this to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions.
So move.
Councilman Williams with the first.
Second.
Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye. Number two.
Number two, request from Cynthia Carnes to use Promenchenko Stadium and Cooks Field for the 10th Annual Joe Carnes Memorial Co-ed Softball Tournament on Saturday, July 27, 2019, from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m., and have the vendor Lakeshore Grill Works.
I'd like to thank Cynthia Carnes for being very cooperative, as her previous request was a double booking, so we asked her to find a different date, and she did exactly that, so I'd like to personally thank her for that. Any further discussion? I need a motion to refer to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. Councilman Bamanto with the first.
Second.
Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye.
Number three, request from Mary's Deli to block off the end of 6th Street between the corner of Main Street and Route 60 on Tuesday, July 23, 2019, and permission to use the green space between Mary's Deli and 6th Street for the Russo Family Community Give Back event. Anyone that brings a donation to the Rural Ministries truck during this event will receive a free slice of pizza.
Any discussion? I need a motion to refer to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. Councilman Bamanto with the
Second.
first. Councilman Williams with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voroshin.
Aye.
Number four has been pulled, sir.
Number four, request from Harvest Chapel has been pulled for the evening and no action will be taken. Number five.
Number five, communication for Maureen Bialashevsky, chairperson of the Northern Chautauqua County Special Olympic, inviting the community and city dignitaries to stop by Steel Hall Field House at SUNY Fredonia to cheer on all the athletes on May 29, 2019, and asking for donations of money or food/drinks items for this special event.
This communication will be received and filed.
Number six, prior written notice from Luis and Mary Lopez of 109 Beaver Street on potential dangerous potholes on South Beagle Street.
This written notice will be received and filed as well. Number seven, loudspeaker applications. We have 7 of them that were on the docket for today. 1 of them has been pulled in conjunction with the Harvest Chapel Church. Therefore, we will be voting on 6 of them. During the workshop session, we reviewed each of them on an individual basis, and there were no pertinent questions or concerns, so we're going to group all of them together for 1 vote and 1 motion. Clerk?
Yes, sir. A, hometown insurance to use amplifiers and microphones from 4 p.m. till 9:30 p.m. at their Labor Day picnic at 200 Lakeshore Drive West on September 2nd, 2019, featuring Sean Patrick McGraw. B, Cynthia Carnes to use microphones and loudspeakers at Promenchenko Stadium on Saturday, July 27, 2019, during their 10th Annual Joe Carnes Memorial Co-ed Softball Tournament. C, the Dunkirk Elks Club number 922 to use amplifier speakers and microphones at the Dunkirk Lighthouse during the annual Flag Day ceremony on June 15, 2019 from 12:30 p.m. till 4 p.m. D, the Brothers of the Road Motorcycle Club to use a DJ and loudspeakers from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m. during their fundraiser for St. Jude Hospital on May 11, 2019 at the Brooks Locomotive Large Pavilion of Point Gratiot. F, Mary's Deli to use speakers and microphone and DJ/band on July 23, 2019 from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. during their community give back event at 525 Main Street. And G, Blessed Mary Angela Church to use a live band at 324 Townsend Street for their annual Polka Fest on August 11, 2019, from 12 p.m. till 9 p.m.
And as mentioned earlier, E, Harvest Chapel Church, request has been pulled. So on the 6 that the clerk has read, do I have any discussion? Seeing none, I need a motion to refer to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first.
Second.
Councilman Civiletto with the second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Voloshin.
Aye. Reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Councilman Williams, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you. I'd also like to say thank you, Councilman Wellison, for bringing up the old Second and Roberts light at the last meeting in my absence. So we'll go right to that with Randy. From what I saw when I watched it, it sounded like you might have had something to report on it.
Even better news today. The original contractor who put the light in the 1980s is still around, doing very well. And he went back to the original specs and completely rebuilt that intersection so that it was no longer on safety mode. It was, all of the loop detectors in the pavement were replaced with a little more modern stuff. There is some work still to be done for pedestrians. The safety mode probably allowed pedestrians a little more access because they knew when it was going to change. Now it's on loop detectors based on vehicles. So the push buttons that pedestrians used are still going to need to be fixed. He told us that. We're going to try to do that in-house and save some money. But the main complaints that we got at that intersection were traffic complaints, that it would be stay green too long one way or the other. Now it's 100% back to the original design spec from the 1980s.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I noticed that this morning, and it's been getting better. So even if they worked on it today, then it's probably even going to be better tomorrow morning on my way to work. And I talked to the first gentleman that brought it to my attention the other day, and he said that was seeming like it was getting better. So if we did work again today, that'll be really good.
That's it? No parade or anything?
Yeah,
I want
For
to
all
see
this
it
time?
first. I want to see it first.
Champagne pop or something?
We had that one that we received and filed about South Beagle Street. Have we been there to do anything with the potholes over there yet?
I'm sure we have. And
Okay.
others like that. I don't know when they came in, but we're required to do that. I could step out and make a phone call to make sure, or what I'll
If
do
we
is.
could just make sure that we've
Yeah.
been down there, because if they're putting that out, then that puts us in a bit of liability, I understand, so.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
And believe me, the street crew understands too. These go immediately to the street division, and they have been 100% handling these. What I will do after this meeting is go there myself and take a look at it. Some of the other councilmen have brought a couple other places to my attention too, that, that we're essentially give ourselves prior notice and prioritize some of these things. We had a terrible winter. It didn't get a lot of snow, but it was the freezing and thawing cycles that ripped our pavements apart. Things that we thought were going to wouldn't have to address this year now look like the lunar surface. So we're gradually, we can do about 2 or 3 miles a day of pothole patching with our truck. We have the best equipment around. Keep 6 tons of hot picks hot all day long and even into the next day. But with 50 some miles of road and you're doing 3 miles a day, it's going to take some time to get them all filled. But when you see the really big ones, we will, as you pointed out, do those first.
Okay, thank you. And then if you could just go over, I understand that the county is going to be doing work on Cliffstar Drive.
Right.
At the end of the month or the beginning of next month.
They're going to mill Cliffstar Drive, also known as Wright Street, between Route 60 and Franklin Avenue in the next couple of weeks. And then they're going to pave it with county crews in June. They're going to remove about 4.5 inches of material there and replace about 3.5. So the city will be adjusting some of the receivers to make sure that they're below the pavement, not above the pavement, so the water goes into the pipe, not the other way around. So we have a little bit of work to do there, and the Then I've also talked with the county. We had the annual meeting in the middle of April, and we did talk to the state and the county. And today I touched base with the local supervisor to make sure we got we're scheduled. The chip seal program with the county is going to start in the South County near Finley Lake and work its way northerly. So they're probably going to be in this area in June. We gave them our preliminary list that I want to run through the DPW committee and through the mayor, but at least they know about the magnitude of what we're going to do. And it's a good process. We did 3rd Street a couple years ago. It's looking pretty good. If we wouldn't have done that, 3rd Street would have been like the Martian surface, perhaps. So it's a process that we can get a lot done at a lower cost. So we had a good conversation on that, and that's going to start, as I said, in June. And then the county paving, we'll be using our own milling machine to get some of the roads ready for the county paving. We think that's going to start about June as well.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Belmonte?
One announcement, next Tuesday, May 14th, 4 PM, there'll be a personnel meeting in the mayor's conference room. And Randy, my turn to come at you a little bit. I'm receiving calls about potholes, big potholes, on West 6th Street between Woodrow and Brigham.
Yeah, I totally agree. The section of 6th Street, a little bit east of there, we completely milled with our own crews a couple years ago and paved that. And at that time, just a couple years ago, the sections you talked about were okay. And this winter just ripped those completely apart. The street department is working toward that area to get those filled. And I think it's something I want to discuss with you. It's your ward, with the DPW committee, with the mayor, to see what treatment we want to do at that location. One option would be to patch it and then cover it with a chip seal. Another option would be to completely mill it and then put fresh asphalt in like we did with that, I call it the middle block of West 6, which is holding up pretty well.
Yes.
So it's definitely on the radar, and it's a prime example of what the winter has done to the city streets.
Also in front of the high school now that I'm coming to memory, in front of the high school is getting beat up too.
It's time to fix it. It'd be nice if all of West 6th Street looked like that one section that we did. And if you remember how bad that was, it looks incredibly good compared to how it was. And these other sections weren't that bad at that time, and the winter made them bad.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Sully.
Thank you, Councilman Belmonte. Councilman Heenan?
Yes, just want to let people know I did contact Randy Woodbury last week in regards to my $300 donation to paint the underpass on Robin and 3rd. He informed me that they were busy with potholes, and he would get back to me when he was ready. So
Yeah.
just that is being taken care of, and
Yes, thank you,
of course, let me
Councilman.
know when you can.
We're it's on the schedule, but we're gonna do brush pickup and the pothole patching first. It's not that we disregard that, but for safety reasons, we want to get those things done first. And then the mayor's wanted us, has got permission from CSX for the city to paint the sidings of the railroad bridges, the CSX, that are pretty much peeled right now. So I think we'll be doing the underpass and those railroad bridges about the same time with the same crew, and just do a blitz on that and do a fresh coat of paint along the entire stretch of the CSX railroad.
That is all, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Heenan. Councilman Civiletto?
Okay, ready for my novel? Here we go. I want to thank Randy and the streets crew for patching the potholes on Franklin and Courtney. Those were getting pretty bad. And, you know, I could go through the list of places in Fourth Ward that have potholes, but you get it. The city needs to, and it's just, it's not been warm enough and it's not been dry enough. We haven't had 48 hours of dryness in the last 2 months. So, and that also makes it so it's impossible to paint as well. It has to be above 50 degrees.
Right.
Haven't had many of those days either. Wanted to ask you about when you can't do paving, when you can't do painting, can we get the street cleaner out? Because I'm finding that a lot of our problems with receivers getting clogged is because the leaves and everything is getting called up against the curbs, and it doesn't seem that, I've only seen the street cleaner out once. Now, of course, I'm not out in the streets all the time, but I know that I haven't seen it in the Fourth Ward, and our receivers get blocked up pretty bad. Can you address when we're going to be seeing the street cleaner out a lot?
Sure. If you call me in the morning, I'll tell you where it is, because Mike has it out almost every day when he can.
Oh, okay.
We had a breakdown. One reason it was down for a couple of days is because of a breakdown. Our great mechanics, Jason and Rocco, fixed it. With Kenny's help, we had if I can for just a minute, because he's a Fourth Ward resident, I'd like to pay tribute to Mr. Ken Seck until we contribute him a little bit better. The mayor would like to do a certificate of appreciation and actually eventually for Mr. Seck. I think everybody would agree that he did a tremendous job for the city of Dunkirk, and he's retired. I'd like to wish him well in his Fourth Ward habitation and retirement, but he did a lot of work to keep things repaired, and he was one of your Fourth Ward residents.
Yes, definitely. And I've told you about there's exposed wires from a loop on Main and Ruggles, at the bottom of Ruggles. When the county, and you stole my thunder talking about Fourth Ward streets there, Councilman Williams. I don't talk about Second and Roberts. What are you doing? But I know. But thank you for talking about right, because I'd like to figure out if there's a way that we could get Ruggles Street in front of the Senior Citizen Center paved, because it has gotten really rough and it's really dirty because of all of the crumbling pavement. And that's a place where a lot of people from out of town, because we've got a lot of people from Fredonia, Silver Creek, Hanover, all over the place, are part of our Senior Citizen Center, and they come and they see that street. And also our farmers market is on that street. So I think it's a really important street to keep clean and to keep nice. That's why I'm always trying to push to get the sidewalk plowed as well. So if there's a way that you don't have to answer me now, but if there's a way that we can put that on a list or figure out a way to do that street, that would be fantastic.
Sure. My plan is to try to piggyback that project with the county project for Cliff Star Drive.
Great.
Right there. So I'm going to talk to the engineers tomorrow at the county to see if we can piggyback on their milling cost and mill some of Ruggles. I know the mayor has asked me to take a look at Ruggles along with you from 4th Street all the way to I'll call it Cook's Brewery. I just can't help it.
I live on the
Okay.
100 block, and
Yeah.
it seems my block and the lower block,
Yeah.
they're still pretty fine. They're pretty good. It's only been about 7 years since they've totally milled and redone it. I don't know of any potholes on those two streets,
But it might need
I'll look at it.
it might need a surface coat. I'm just saying anything in that area.
Right.
And then my theory of the wire situation turned out not to be true. I initially thought there was a dragging muffler that took those wires from Second and Roberts and brought them down there, but it turned out not to be the case.
those are actually loop wires.
Right.
Just want to, can you address some of the drainage issues that we've been having throughout the city? I've answered a couple of calls because of people thinking that there's water main breaks or that there's leaks in hydrants and stuff, and it just seems that the water is, the ground's so saturated with water now that it's starting to drain, and anytime there's an upper level, it's running down the street, and if it doesn't have a place to go, people are getting their sidewalks soaked and things, so they think that there's a lot of water. Can you just address how much water there's been and the drainage situation in a lot of the city?
Yeah, it's a perfect example of how saturated the city got, that when we got those freezing and thawing temperatures, the water expands when it freezes and breaks things apart. And so now that water's finally thawed out and it's reaching its way to the lowest point, it's going to take a while. And I thank you for going out there and investigating them. You've done a great job looking at individual complaints and talking to your constituents, and then communicating with me on and your analysis, and we work together to figure it out.
Yeah, I'd really like to sit down with you and Andy and figure out a plan for God's Sacred Acres, because it's been a long time since anyone's done any work down there, I believe, that
Sounds
as
good.
far as drainage goes.
Okay.
I want to let everybody know there's one more grant left for the first-time homeowners grant that Dunkirk offers for the community development block grants, a $3,000 grant for a first-time homeowner. Contact Crick in Maya Alvarado if you're interested in that, and she can give you the details on whether you'd be qualified or not. The lighthouse is open now, opened on May 1st, so it's limited hours in the very beginning here, but I think it's 10 to 2. But if you are a city resident and you've never been to the lighthouse, it's something that it's a treasure here, and you need to go and check it out. I noticed on the Special Olympics thing, it didn't say when that is. Does anyone have a clue? I know it happens in Fredonia. Does anyone know when it starts? I'd like to go, but there's no time.
Usually the high school at 9 and they get to SUNY by 9:30.
Okay.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. Great. Okay. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I just want to repeat something that the mayor brought up during his time. On Mother's Day, the Grand Prix boat race will be on TV. It would be really, really nice if a lot of people, and the majority of the citizens and non-citizens, the community in general, could view this on TV, see Dunkirk in a different light, maybe. And we all, every single day, walking the streets or driving to our jobs, we see the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes some of us seem to emphasize one or the other. But I think it would be a nice set of fresh eyes and a different perspective if we could see it all through a TV camera. So I would like to encourage everybody from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, it is.
8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Mother's Day morning on CBS Sports. You have your opportunity to see Dunkirk in a different light. That is all I have. There is no unfinished business. We'll move on to pre-file resolutions, number 45.
Number 45, resolution authorizing execution of boardwalk lease for new tenant Taqueria Mexicana.
Okay, I do have some questions for the mayor that I had previously discussed with him about this, that I have received, so I wanted to bring them up during this portion of the meeting so that the people that did ask me the questions can hear the answers directly from him. Just so you're aware, this restaurant already exists across from the hotel on Lakeshore Drive, and the owner is a current board member of the DLDC. Therefore, I have received a couple questions on whether or not, since he is a current board member of the DLDC, if it may be a conflict for him to rent and move into the boardwalk according to number 7 of the Code of Ethics for the DLDC. So I brought that to the mayor, and the mayor had an answer for that. Mayor?
Yes, the answer to the question is no, it is not a conflict of interest. And again, the DLDC, the boardwalk is not part of the DLDC. So, but if and when the time comes where there's an issue that may be a conflict of interest, then he would be advised to abstain. And then ultimately, it would be his decision.
Thank you. And the reason that arose is because during the DLDC, we do speak about the boardwalk, so the individual thought that the boardwalk was part of the DLDC. So, and then the other concern the individual had was that since the person already does own a restaurant, a brick and mortar within 200 to 300 yards of the boardwalk, they'll be duplicating their services within 200 to 300 yards, and maybe a better opportunity would be to give it to somebody else so they can have a variety instead of duplicating services within 200 to 300 yards. Mayor, you had an answer for that as well?
Absolutely. So there has been requests for several different variety of businesses in there, but the Latin cuisine has been one of these requests. This gentleman came forward. There were several others that did too, and we chose him. We anticipate that he's going to be very busy and very profitable at both sites.
And I don't think anybody's going to refuse a sloppy taco after having a cocktail on the pier on the boardwalk during the summer. So, did I say sloppy taco? I mean, okay. He does have great food, though, by the way. So, I think he'll do very, very well there. Any further discussion on number 45? Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye.
Number 46, resolution authorizing budget line modifications for fiscal year 2019.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye.
47, resolution authorizing professional services contract for the 4th of July fireworks display and the boat race finale fireworks display.
Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan? Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye.
Number 48, resolution accepting general contract 18-2-E for wastewater treatment plant Phase 3 upgrades and reconstruction and accepting the supporting alternate bid 18-1-E.
Any discussion? Councilman Williams?
Just a comment, it's just nice to see a local business be able to get the bid, that's all.
Any further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye.
Number 49, resolution accepting general contract 18-2-G for wastewater treatment plant Phase 3 upgrades and reconstruction.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye.
Number 50, resolution accepting general contract 18-2-M for wastewater treatment plant Phase 3 upgrades and reconstruction and accepting the supporting alternate bid 18-1-G.
Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye.
Number 51, resolution signing on to support of school bus stop arm camera legislation.
Any discussion?
I do have one thing.
Councilman Civiletto?
Just asking, I know that this is us supporting a fantastic piece of legislation that the state is doing. Did it pass today? I saw in the news that, or did it just come up for, or was it just introduced? I thought I saw in the news that it was actually passed. And what it is saying that it's okay for us to have cameras on the arms when they come down from the buses to catch people who are passing buses that have the red lights on, and that parts of the fines will go to pay for that. So it is a no cost to the school districts throughout the state, as it's kind of like a state contract. From what I understand, it was passed today. That's what I thought I saw on the. So are we kind of late on this, or do you have a date that it was supposed to be presented?
It's not late. The purpose of this resolution is to show that we support it. So this is something that, again, me personally, as a former police officer, can tell you that very seldom are you going to be able to make an arrest in the form of a traffic ticket for somebody who passes a school bus. The only way that's going to happen, of course, is if the police officer actually witnesses it. This is going to be a huge help and a huge deterrent, and it will save lives.
Oh, definitely, and I heard a statistic like 50,000 people just in the state of New York every year pass a school bus. The estimate is 50,000 every year that pass a school bus that has the red lights on. So it's definitely a good thing in that 5 children every year are killed in New York State by cars that pass the buses. So I definitely am in favor of it. I was just wondering what the time situation was. Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan.
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto.
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voloshin.
Aye. Any new business to walk in?
No walk-in, it's more of a forgotten business. I forgot to ask, on the old quick fill there on Lakeshore Drive, on East Lakeshore Drive, there's a TV and garbage on the corner there, on the curb. Is there any way we can get that and try to figure out where it might have come from and stop it, or at least pick it up, because I don't know who owns it and who it belongs to, if somebody just dropped it there, but it's been there probably for about a week. I had my hand over that question over here, so I just saw it now.
Sure.
And that's all. Thanks.
Any new business? Walk-ins? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Heaney with the second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Heenan?
Aye.
Councilmember Civiletto?
Aye.
Councilmember at-large Voisin?
Aye, meeting adjourned.